What up, Space Fam? Goes in here for AnimeUproar, and oh man, do I have a manly video for you today. Today, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite characters in My Hero Academia. I am referring to the man, the manly legend himself, Eijiro Kirishima, aka Red Riot. I absolutely love making videos on inspiring characters like Kirishima because I feel like I learn things and get motivated as I do the research and writing. In this video, I'm going to be going over Kirishima's manly character and his unique powers, so stay tuned for that. Also, if someone wants to count the number of times I say the word manly in this video and put it in the comments, I think that would be manly AF. If you like My Hero Academia videos and want to see more, make sure to smash that like button to let me know. If we can get 5,000 likes, I will pick another inspiring character in MHA, there's a bunch after all, and break them down too. If you haven't, be sure to subscribe, and this is absolutely crucial, hit that notification bell, because if you don't, you will not know when new My Hero Academia videos come out. That's how YouTube works these days. For more My Hero Academia content and crucial updates about the new seasons, make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar. Keep in mind there will be manga spoilers in this video if that actually bothers you. Now without further ado, let's man up and jump into it. One of the most interesting aspects of Kirishima's character, in my opinion, is the fact that his upbringing wasn't glorious and gave no signs that he was fated to be a great hero. When he was 3 years old, he woke up because he had to pee. He rubbed his eye, and that's when his hardening quirk manifested for the first time. He cut himself and cried. This left a permanent scar over his right eye. Like I said, not very glamorous. Then in junior high, Kirishima attended the same school as Mina. So they have a special kind of relationship because Mina knew him before he was the epitome of manliness, Red Riot. For this reason, some people ship them together. Let me know if you ship it or skip it in the comments. At this point, this relationship probably makes the most sense since Mina inspired him. You could even say Mina hardened his resolve. We do get a flashback in the manga from Kirishima's junior high days. A kid is getting bullied and Kirishima sees it happening. He tells the guys to knock it off because bullying is not manly at all. However, they just throw a rock at his head. Kirishima hardens a bit to cushion the blow to his face, but it's clear that there isn't much he can do with his quirk at this point. His friends tell him to cut it out and stop sticking his nose where it doesn't belong. But Kirishima tries to live by the words of his hero idol, Crimson Riot, who also has a hardening ability. Now, the Crimson Riot quote is different depending on the translation. I believe the official English translation uses chivalrous heart instead of manly spirit, even though manly spirit does seem to be more in alignment with Kirishima's character. Anyways, what Crimson Riot said was that as long as you got a manly spirit or a chivalrous heart, then quirks don't even matter. Kirishima rushes off to try and save the kid. After all, the pros say your body moves before you've got time to think. But then he sees that he's too late. Mina has already dealt with the situation like a pro. Unlike Kirishima, she comes off as a natural born hero. Kirishima's friends are terrible because they're always telling him that his dreams are impossible. They're weighing him down with doubts and insecurity. I think it's significant that Kirishima makes new friends in the Hero Academy who actually support him, even Bakugo. It's like anything important you try in life. If you really want to achieve your dreams, the reality is you're probably going to have to get rid of friends who are constantly making fun of you or discouraging you when you try to change for the better. You'll probably have to drop those friendships or at least see those friends less often and make friends with more positive people who support you and are in alignment with your goals. Kirishima's friends put him down even as they praise Mina. They say that she's going to go places because she's got killer physical reflexes and she's great with people. Unlike Kirishima, her quirk is strong and flashy. His friends talk about how things are different now than they used to be. They say that being a hero is all about the entertainment factor and approval ratings, and Kirishima begins to doubt himself because his quirk is kind of boring. This is why Kirishima trains with all his might to make up for his lackluster quirk. His friends are so negative that they don't even seriously consider trying out for UA. In fact, one insults the other for even suggesting it. You never know until you try, but these guys, even at such a young age, have already lost belief in themselves. They have resigned themselves to the so-called practicality of the adult world. Kirishima doesn't even tell them that he's planning to apply to UA because he'll just get insulted too. He doesn't know if he's crazy for wanting to apply. he thinks he's lame. He starts comparing himself and wishing that he had a strong, flashy quirk like Mina's. Perhaps then, he would have the confidence to go for UA's hero course. Just as all of these doubts are plaguing him, he sees what looks like a very intimidating villain. He starts destroying a building, and Kirishima doesn't start running in order to help. He doesn't move without thinking. He's looking around and worrying about how there are no heroes in sight. He's trying to convince himself to act in spite of his fear. He's sweating all over and looking distressed AF. But again, Mina is the one to step in. She gives random directions to the giant and he leaves just like that. Mina was scared too, but she acted anyways. Kirishima wonders why he didn't move. He hears the voice of his friend who said, and I quote, "Dummy, we're too plain to be heroes. Gotta rule that out from the start," end quote. At this point, Kirishima is really questioning himself. While Midori, our protagonist, jumped in to try to save Bakugo when he had no quirk, Kirishima couldn't move even with a quirk. Kirishima thinks that he is not a man. He thinks that he's nothing as he scratches UA off his #1 choice for high school. Just as he's given up, Kirishima accidentally stumbles upon some extra footage of Crimson Riot that he'd never seen before. In the interview, Crimson Riot is asked if he's scared to charge headlong into danger, and he answers that of course he's scared. He says that there isn't anyone out there who faces down death without fear, only idiots. Crimson Riot points out that he wasn't always the man he is now. Back in his sidekick days, there were some lives he could have saved, but he didn't. He hesitated for a second. It was his weak spirit that doomed those people. Now I'll directly quote the rest because I think it's very powerful. Crimson Riot says, "Villains are scared of dying too, but I know something scarier than death. A person's final expression frozen in place. The pain I couldn't prevent. It's because I've seen that I keep diving into danger." For him, chivalry or manliness is a strong spirit. It's not about gender or confidence or being fearless. He just made the decision that he's a hero, so he protects people. He puts his life on the line because he made that decision despite his fears, doubts, and the rest. Chivalry, aka a manly heart, to him means living without regret. After this amazing interview, Kirishima decides that he won't go back on this promise to himself anymore. Despite his doubts, he's going to move towards his dreams of becoming a hero. He applies to UA and he actually gets in. He dyes his black hair red and spikes it up to reaffirm his commitment to his goal. What Kirishima has learned is the same thing that Mr. Miyagi taught the Karate Kid. It's okay to lose to an opponent, but you must not lose to fear. At the first day of UA, Mina is shocked by Kirishima's hair. He tells Mina that he's no longer going to have regrets. He's going to become a hero who protects others. He tells her to say goodbye to the old pathetic him. Mina messes with him and encourages him, and Kirishima smiles and thanks her. Obviously, he's not a completely new man. He's in the process of evolving and becoming his ideal self even now. However, he's now committed to moving closer and closer to that ideal version of himself every day. You know, some people say that Rock Lee should have been the protagonist of Naruto. Well, you can also make the argument that Kirishima should have been the protagonist for My Hero Academia. I say this because Kirishima seems to be a less naturally born hero and more of a self-made hero. For instance, Deku, as mentioned, ran in to help Bakugo without thinking, even though he didn't have a quirk. This suggests that he's got the natural stereotypical hero inside him. Then, he gets the most OP power from All Might in the form of One for All. Meanwhile, Kirishima wasn't gifted with being a natural born hero or with the most flashy and OP of powers. Nevertheless, he continues to work hard in order to overcome the shortcomings of his character and quirk. And I don't mean to underplay Deku's story because I do think he gets a lot of development, but to me, Kirishima's story is even more inspirational than Deku's. Now I'll go into some meaningful highlights from Kirishima's time in UA to show how far he's been able to come from that kid filled with fear, self-doubt, and self-loathing. Kirishima works so hard that he goes from doubting whether he should apply to UA to getting 2nd overall in the UA entrance exams. If that isn't absolutely amazing, I don't know what is. Then, during the quirk test apprehension exam, Kirishima comes in 8th out of 20 students in class 1A. At the unforeseen simulation joint, Kirishima, along with Bakugo, is one of the first people to try attacking Kurogiri. Obviously, it doesn't do anything because of the nature of Kurogiri's quirk, but it shows how far he's come from the junior high kid who was paralyzed with fear when he saw a villain. Kirishima shows us that, with enough determination and hard work, we can consciously change and improve ourselves in a significant way. Just because we aren't born heroes heroes, that doesn't mean we should give up trying to be heroes. At the UA Sports Festival, Todoroki freezes a giant robot and it crashes down on Kirishima. He survives by using his hardening quirk, but is upset by how Todoroki puts the lives of his fellow students in danger. This is another reason I like Kirishima. He is a person who doesn't just value individual strength above all else. He believes that behaving virtuously and helping others is extremely important. After all, endangering innocent lives is not manly. At this point, he meets Tetsu, who is pretty much a Silver Surfer clone of Kirishima. Both of their quirks are described the same way. By hardening, they acquire the ultimate offense and defense. If Kirishima thought his quirk wasn't special before, you can imagine how it feels to find out that someone practically has the exact same one, except the other person looks like the Silver Surfer, so he's arguably even more flashy. Despite all this, Kirishima keeps moving forward and finishes 9th out of 42 in the obstacle course portion of the festival, another impressive accomplishment. For the cavalry portion, even though he's picky, Kirishima convinces Bakugo to team up with him. The two work well together and their team passes to the next round. During the tournament portion, Kirishima must fight his silver clone in the first round. It's a pretty straightforward fight. They use their hardening abilities and hit each other until they knock each other out. To break the tie, they arm wrestle. Eventually, because of Kirishima's perseverance, Tetsu's iron runs out, allowing Kirishima to win the arm wrestling match. He then fights Bakugo bravely, but is eventually overwhelmed. Because he overused his quirk, it begins wearing off until it can no longer effectively block Bakugo's explosions. But hey, if he had to lose to someone, at least he lost to someone as talented as Bakugo, who would go on to win the whole thing. Kirishima goes on to have other setbacks, like losing to Cementos during the first term final exam, but he doesn't let that stop him. When Bakugo is kidnapped, Kirishima is one of the students who wants to go save him. Even though the majority of students are against it, Kirishima is determined. He will not sit around and do nothing. He tells Ida that if he doesn't act now and try to save his buddy, he can't consider himself to be a hero or a man. Despite the fact that it is against the law for them to act on their own against the wishes of the pro heroes, Kirishima values something above those laws. He has his own moral compass, a code of manliness, and he needs to follow it, even if it means breaking the law to do what he thinks is the right thing. When Midoriya comes up with a plan to save Bakugo, he says that Kirishima has to be the one who reaches out to him because of their special bond. At this point, Kirishima is arguably Bakugo's only true friend, so it has to be him. While Bakugo would have hated the idea of being saved by Midoriya, he takes Kirishima's hand and smiles when the time comes, proving that they truly have developed a great friendship. I love the fact that Kirishima set out to save Bakugo, convinced as many people to go as he could, and then succeeded in getting him out of the dangerous situation with his own hand. Truly epic. Now let's fast forward to the overhaul arc, where Kirishima really shines. After Fat Gum and Tamaki take care of some criminals, another hidden criminal fires a bullet at Tamaki that takes away his ability to use his quirk. Kirishima goes after him. Kirishima catches up to him, and the criminal's weak blades quirk is no match for Kirishima's hardening. However, the criminal manages to make Kirishima feel pity for him. After all, Kirishima knows what it is like to have a lackluster quirk, so he gets distracted and lets down his guard. The criminal takes a quirk-enhancing drug, which turns him into a truly formidable villain who can create numerous long and strong blades. Now his blades are sharper than Kirishima is hard. Kirishima has no tricks. All he can do is bulldoze through his opponent. He remembers Bakugo telling him that if he refuses to go down, it means he's stupidly strong. Thinking back on this, he has a newfound determination. He'll raise the level of his hardness. He will evolve into an even harder red metapod. He makes himself tougher and tougher in order to become an unyielding wall. As a result of the compressed quirk strengthening training, Kirishima is able to attain a new level of hardness called Riot Unbreakable. It is his maximum hardness level at this point. The criminal launches a concentration of strong blades at Kirishima, and he takes them all on because there are still people around him who haven't gotten away yet. He tells himself that he's a steeled man. Instead of style, he'll use brute force to overwhelm the opponent. He rushes through and knocks the criminal down before the time limit for Unbreakable runs out. However, he lets his guard down again, and the criminal almost gets away, but Fat Gum stops him. The bystanders he saved thank Kirishima. They say he really saved them. They say he'll become an incredible hero without a doubt. Then Fat Gum compliments Kirishima on his magnificent debut and suggests that it was way better than his own. Since Fat Gum is a successful pro hero, that really means a lot. This is an epic moment for Kirishima since he's finally where he always wanted to be. He wanted to be a brave and strong hero, and now people have acknowledged that he is just that. Obviously, he will keep improving, but this is a far cry from the afraid kid he used to be. He can't help but smile and thank Fat Gum for the compliment. I also love to see how positive and optimistic Kirishima is with Tamaki. Even though Tamaki thinks that Kirishima is naturally positive like Mirio, he doesn't know what we know. Kirishima is this way now because of how much he worked on himself and his beliefs. Fast forward a bit and Kirishima along with Fat Gum have to fight a much stronger opponent. The two have to face off against Kendo Rappa, one of the strongest dudes ever, and Hikiji Tengai, a guy who can create telekinetic barriers as strong as a steel wall. These two are members of the 8 Precepts of Death. Rappa's punches are so strong that he can break through Kirishima's Unbreakable mode and even hurt Fat Gum. Both of these guys have a really strong defense, so that speaks to Rappa's great physical power. Here, Kirishima again has to face his demons. He thought he was finally strong, especially after the incident with the Blade Criminal and all the compliments he received afterwards, but Rappa shakes his confidence by breaking through his unbreakable defense. Fat Gum warns him not to let his spirit break just because his defense broke, because that's when you really lose. However, Kirishima continues to question himself for a while, and Hikiji even notices the fear in his eyes. Nevertheless, Kirishima steps in to take some of Rappa's brutal punches in Fat Gum's place. The instant his hardening gets broken, Kirishima just re-hardens again, and he does much better against the bullet punches than before. In this way, he buys enough time for Fat Gum to prepare his finisher attack. Despite all of the fears in Kirishima's mind, his number one fear that surpassed all the others was reverting back to his old self, who could only watch in the face of danger. He's now committed to being a hero who can protect people. Fat Gum says that his opponents lost for one reason, because they underestimated Kirishima. Then he launches his attack saying, "Get a taste of the manly heart of the hero named Red Riot." By the end of it, Kirishima is severely injured, but he succeeded in changing himself. He succeeded in not being the kind of person that simply stands by and watches while others are in danger. At this point, he's unconscious, and Fat Gum is extremely touched by Kirishima's display of manliness. Even Rappa, who manages to get up despite his injuries, tells Fat Gum to tend to Kirishima's wounds, referring to him as a man. Hikiji tries to stop him, but Rappa attacks his own teammate. Even Rappa was affected by how Kirishima put his life on the line. He wants him to get better so that they can fight again someday man to man. Fat Gum thinks about how Kirishima was a man who understood his own weakness. Kirishima acknowledged that he used to be pathetic, but he showed himself in this fight to be a true man, who even the enemy acknowledged. So those are some of the more important highlights for Kirishima, and there's sure to be some more epic moments with him as the series goes on. But despite all the work and training he still has ahead of him, it is truly inspiring to see how he succeeded in changing himself. He went from a scared, negative kid who could only watch when others were in trouble to one of the manliest and most positive dudes who is willing to throw himself at even the strongest of villains, even if it means risking his life. It's a character arc that truly inspires me, and I hope you can draw some inspiration from the manly Red Riot as well. There's a lesson here: don't assume that you can't change yourself. Perhaps you can't all at once, but Kirishima is a testament to the fact that you can change yourself for the better if you consistently work towards doing so. We touched on Kirishima's quirk a bit, but let's take a closer look at it now. His quirk is Hardening, and it allows him to harden and sharpen his body parts. This hardening can be used as a strong defense and offense. The drawback is that Kirishima has a limit to how much damage he can take. The hardening gets weaker after accumulating a lot of damage and eventually stops working altogether. While it is activated, his hardening ability lets him break through walls and survive giant robots falling on him. Hardening allows him to be explosion, heat, and shockwave resistant. His moves are pretty straightforward. We talked about his bulldozer fighting style. Red counter consists of taking damage and then countering with a straight punch. Red gauntlet is Kirishima running towards an enemy and punching them. His most flashy ability is definitely the Red Riot Unbreakable mode we discussed earlier, which allows him to reach his maximum hardening level. In this form, he appears jagged and monstrous, but also cool AF. By continuously re-hardening, he was able to withstand Rappa's strong and quick punches for a significant period of time, and he even managed to survive. Many pro heroes wouldn't be able to withstand the same kind of attacks. when the Unbreakable mode is introduced, Kirishima says that he can maintain this unbreakable form for about 40 seconds. But in theory, he should be able to get even harder and last for longer as the series goes on. Man, I feel like almost every sentence in this video is going to sound like a double entendre, but that's what you get when you talk about a guy whose superpower is being hard. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If we can get 5,000, that's right, 5,000 likes on this video, I will start on the next one ASAP. Let me know what inspiring character from MHA you would like me to talk about next. If you haven't, be sure to subscribe, and this is critical, hit that notification bell or else you won't know when new MHA videos come out. For more My Hero Academia content and crucial updates about the new seasons, make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar. A big thank you goes out to our patrons over on Patreon who help make videos like this one possible. I'm blown away by the amount of patrons we have, and I'm extremely thankful to each and every one of you. I especially want to thank our Pro Hero tier patrons, the one and only Gilgamesh, Baby Ray, Nothing But a Fan, Jason Wilson, King Zeldris, $50 Beat, Ekarad GN, Anatoly Kazatsky, DJ Nathaniel, Alpha Dio, and Angel Cruz, and are the 1 tier patrons, the ones who stand atop all clans: Steven Ingrata, Alola Anata, Matty Mac 239, Makoto Kud, Seth Cooper, and the world. If you enjoy our work, you can support more of it by going over to patreon.com/AnimeUproar and becoming a patron today for as little as $1. If you do so, you'll get your name featured in future videos alongside these amazing people right here, and you'll even get access to our private patron-only Discord. So check out patreon.com/AnimeUproar, link in the description if you're interested. You can also now join the YouTube channel and support more content that way if you prefer. Whichever way you choose to support us, you can get the same great benefits. Thanks for everything, and until next time, see you, Space Cowboy.